Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for January 29th, 2018. We're still waiting on free agents. God damn it. So I guess I'll start doing this now. Talking about various players, sort of directly and indirectly or whatever. So today is going to be about Jason Heyward, the much maligned Jason Heyward. I read something on, I think it was Bleed Clubly Blue, that annoyed me, so kind of in response to that. Anyway, so to be a little bit, to kind of paraphrase Ben Franklin, a run saved is a run scored. And probably the biggest single overall change between the 2016 Cubs and the 2017 Cubs is 2016 Cubs had, I believe it was 103 defensive runs saved, which is one of the best, if not the best, defenses ever seen in the National League. In overall baseball, the 2016 Cubs, their primary strength as a team was defense. Now, the 2017 Cubs also had a very strong defense, but they dropped about overall about 20 defensive runs saved, so they ended about 80, which is good enough to be in the top 10 overall, and I believe they were even in the top 5 for the National League. So again, a very, very strong defensive club. The thing is, some of this is actually just variance because of the way in which baseball is very, very fickle. And then also, give me a moment. Some of this is variance because of sample size and everything like that. Like sometimes, just by the nature of being human beings, we have a bad day. Or there's other times when we are doing not as well as other times. So let me just give you a quick example of the variance. If you look at Baez's advanced statistics in 2016, overall he saved 10 defensive runs, which is a game. Again, basically a game in defensive runs. He ended up posting one defensive run saved overall. So still a net positive defensive player. It's just those 9 runs is a huge. So it's probably what it is he was playing last year way above his career average, and this year he was playing way below. So probably next year he'll be at his average. I'll keep you updated. So some of this stuff in baseball is a variance. So one of the things I like about Jason Heyward and why I'm talking about variance is he's been on the Cubs for 2 years. And in that 2 years, as far as I know, he had one error in 2 years, and then if you look at the advanced statistics, in 2016 he played every ball hit to left field perfectly. So he got to every single ball he was supposed to, and his route efficiencies was always at least 97% efficient. Now in 2017, he wasn't quite as good. He misplayed for the entire year, even though he ended up making the catches, so his route efficiency was lower than 97%, 4 times. So in 2 years, in about 300 games, he has had one error, and he's had only has misplayed 4 balls, which is incredibly low. And okay, so he's a Gold Glove winner. He's won Gold Glove the last 2 years. He's won a couple beforehand. And Jason Heyward is debatably the most consistent defensive player on the team. Because a lot of the defensive runs lost between 2016 and 2017 were actually concentrated on Russell, Bryant, Baez, and Rizzo. They all sort of dropped back down to earth a little bit. Heyward has basically stayed the same. And so, like, one of the things I really like about him is defensively, he's really consistent. And I can only recall him only missing one catch that he should have made in 2 years. And I watched basically all the games. Now, with that being said, Jason Heyward, of course, struggles mightily at the plate, and a lot of this is, he doesn't strike out too much, and he does take his walks. What happens is he kind of rolls over, too much with his top wrist, so he ends up sort of like it's a half committed swing a lot of the times, and then he ends up having weak contact a lot, which weak contact leads to pop-ups and slow ground balls, and which a lot of time in 2016 he was batting second, because that's what for like the first April, May, because the year prior he hit nearly 300, so putting him in second because of Matt and not entirely know Brian's overall strength, right? Because things are more viewable in retrospect. He ended up hitting into double plays a lot because he would roll over and hit it towards the second baseman. Okay, so and then he only hit 230 in 2016. He hit a little bit better in 256. And the thing is, maybe this is just me just kind of being like Madden. Like, it's annoying. Like, obviously you want him to hit better, but with his defensive, like his mighty defensive struggles, he's a net positive player. He posted 2.3 WAR, and which is almost predominantly from his defense. So again, a run saved is a run scored. And because of that, I wish people would back off. Like, it doesn't help. Like, you getting angry at Jason Heyward not hitting well isn't going to make him hit better. And a lot of this is tied to the fact that he's on, I think it's an 8-year, $180 million contract or something like that. He's on a very large contract. Because of his offensive production, he's the contract. And again, if you say, a win is worth X amount of money, therefore this player should be paid this amount, like he provides this many wins, therefore this is how much money he should be getting. He's not worth the money. But here's the thing, in a weird way, and I've talked about this before, I don't think players should be making as much money as they can, just like ethically. So like, part of me, like, I'm so annoyed in general at player salaries that like it doesn't even really matter to me that Jason Heyward's being overpaid, because like they're all being overpaid, and it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, so he's making like $10 million more than he should in terms of like value of baseball, but that's still like $18 million more than he should be making in terms of like values of being human. And so there's that. Okay, I think this is going to be one section today. I'm kind of out of it. Anyway, so the last thing I want to talk about real fast is I really do like Jason Heyward, and the thing is, Maley, who was the last hitting coach last offseason, worked on his mechanics, and I don't think it's a mechanical issue. I think it's actually a mental issue, in that he's putting too much pressure on himself to perform well because of this huge contract, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things I like about Chili Davis. Okay, so here's the thing about hitting coaches. Hitting coaches aren't really needed to teach players how to hit at the major league level. If you have stuck in the major leagues for a while, you know sort of the mechanics of how to hit. So in a lot of ways, the hitting coach is mostly a security blanket and sort of like kind of a quack guru type guy who acts as sort of like lucky charm. Melee was a very good hitting instructor, and there's a couple of players, Rizzo actually as well, where he worked on mechanical stuff, just very slight changes. Most of the time it worked, sometimes it didn't. But the thing is, given that most of the team has been in the major leagues together for at this point 2 to 3 years, they don't really need, like, you don't need a hitting coach talking to you about mechanics. You sort of need a like a man and a guy focused on the mental side of it. So Chili Davis has actually been doing like visual exercises with Heyward, and he stresses two strike hitting, so that the biggest reason why the Cubs struggled in situational hitting is Rizzo and Bryant did so, but a lot of players don't really vary their swings, and I'll use Baez. Baez has a huge leg kick, and when he was truly locked in, and when he gets truly locked in, the leg kick goes away. I want Davis to talk to Baez to have the leg kick go away every time he gets to 2 strikes. So this isn't really a mechanical thing. It's a way of refocusing on the count and focusing on the mental side of it. Because I think, again, going back to Heyward for a second, the main issue I think is for him is he has it in his head that he's having trouble hitting. So he's having trouble hitting because that thought's in his head. So if through Crackaway or Guru or whatever, Chili Davis, who's apparently very good at